Hey everybody, happy Thursday. I'm doing an Edpuzzle for you guys today because the activity we're doing today is going to come out a lot differently for a lot of you, depending on your understanding of some words. And some of what's in this is kind of hard for some of you or really easy for some of you. So I'm making an Edpuzzle to walk you through it. And there are some of you, especially those of you who have really extensive vocabularies, who maybe aren't going to need this Edpuzzle as much as others, but it's here to help you. So each one of you has a sheet that looks like this, and it's like, what? It looks kind of complicated. I took it out of the book, so you can see this in your book too. But at the top of your sheet, I guess I can just hold up one of these. You have a column here, or a row, that says example, and it's got 4 words. It's got imaginative, investigative, realistic, and analytical. And then next to each one of those are numbers. There's numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you are expected to do on this little worksheet is you need to put a 4 next to the thing that is most you, then a 3, then a 2, then a 1. A 1 would be the thing that is least you. And in every row, you're gonna have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. You don't double up any numbers in a row. It's always a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4 somewhere in the row. And once we get all of this done, then you're gonna do a little math and you're gonna add up your rows. You're gonna see kind of what columns you fit into more, and then we're gonna analyze what, according to this quiz, we're calling it the fruits quiz or the fruits inventory. It kind of talks about what kind of a team player you are, what kind of a learner you are. It kind of applies to school, but it also just applies to life in general. For some people, it fits to a T, and for some people, it doesn't. But it provides really interesting discussion. And so, what you are going to do is you're going to look at a row. So this first row, the top row, is the same as the example: imaginative, investigative, realistic, or analytical. I would say for me, I am realistic. That is like, I just look at things head on and look at reality. And so that's going to be my number 4. That's the one that hits me right away. The next choices are imaginative, investigative, and analytical. Analytical means to analyze, and I would say that's pretty high for me too, so that's going to get my 3. My last 2 choices are imaginative and investigative. I like to investigate things. I especially like to dig around on the internet and try to solve problems and do like hard trivia and stuff like that. So I would say that would be my 2, and I know that my imagination is kind of lacking, so that's going to be my 1. So in that column, I'm going to have a 1, a 2, a 4, and a 3. Now, I would like you to do this along with me, and I'm just going to walk you through each of these 4 rows, and you might have to hit pause here and there or like re-listen to something, because again, some of these words are not words that are super common, and I don't expect you all to know them. And so I'm going to just briefly explain what each word means, because it should make it easier for you to give an accurate 1, 2, 3, 4. So in the next row, we have adaptable, inquisitive, organized, and critical. You guys know what it means to be organized. I don't have to explain that. If you are adaptable, it means that when things change, all of a sudden you can adapt to that. You're good at adapting to things coming up or making a new plan or whatever. You adapt well. Inquisitive, if you are inquisitive, it means you question a lot of things. That's the quiz part in there. There's your root. So that you're someone who has lots of questions. Obviously organized. And then critical, if you're critical about things, it's not always negative to be critical. Sometimes we might be critical of other people, which kind of comes off as mean, but sometimes being critical is just looking at something really carefully. So again, what's most you? Are you most adaptable, most inquisitive, most organized, or most critical? What's your 4? Then pick a 3, then a 2, then a 1. Next, we have relating, creating, getting to, and debating. Obviously, relating is how you relate to other people and how you relate to things. Like if I give an example in class, can you relate it to you, to something that's happened in your life? If you're good at relating, you know what it means to create. We don't have to explain that. Getting to means you're a person like you like to get to the next thing. And debating means you like to debate about things or argue sometimes about things. Now, you might be getting to the point already where you're like, I don't know what's a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. Like it could be a 2 or a 3. These 2, I don't know. Make your best guess. If your 4 and your 1 are accurate, sometimes your 2s and your 3s might be a little harder. You do your best. Next column, personal, adventurous, practical, and academic. Personal means you know your personhood very well. Sometimes you internalize things personally and things like that. Adventurous means you like to go on adventures or you like to find adventures. Practical means it's kind of almost the opposite of being imaginative. If you're practical, you just kind of look at this is the way things are and this is the practical way to solve this problem. And if you're academic, that just means you're like really good at school. If you're one of those kids that, even if you don't really like it, but school's just the thing you do really well at, you're academic. There are plenty of people who are academic that don't necessarily like that. It's just where they have a gift. Next, we have flexible, inventive, precise, and systematic. Flexible is kind of similar to adaptable. If you are flexible, like last week, I said, okay, now we're going to meet in this classroom because we can't use our room today. And you're like, okay, big deal. And you're just flexible, you roll with it. Inventive means you like to invent things, obviously. Precise means you like things done precisely. Sometimes people who are really precise are referred to as perfectionists, and I know that applies to some of you, and I know that totally doesn't apply to some of you. Systematic means you like to do things in systems. You know, there's a certain way that things get done, and you follow the system. So what's your 1, 2, 3, 4? Next row, we have sharing, independent, orderly, and sensible. Sharing obviously means you like to share. Independent means you can do things on your own. Independent is those of you like watching this video right now going, I could have done this. She doesn't need to tell me all these words. Orderly means you like things in a certain order. Sensible means that the choices you make are sensible. They make sense. Now you're starting to see, again, some of these words are very synonymous, similar to other words that we've already had. And the reason you get asked to do so many of these is how it's going to help to give you the most accurate score. Next, we have cooperative, competitive, perfectionistic, and logical. You guys know what it means to be cooperative. You know what it means to be competitive. You know what perfectionism is. If you are logical, you're just the kind of person that goes, well, if this is the case for this, then this must be this, and da-da-da-da, and you think things logically. That's a pretty easy one, I think. Again, might be hard to determine what your 4, 3, 2, 1 is, but you know what I mean. Then we have sensitive, taking, hardworking, and intellectual. I think you all know what it means to be sensitive to things. It means you feel things hard. And that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. Some of us are more sensitive and some of us are less. And some of us, it might depend on the situation. So this is hard for some people to answer because like for me, when it comes to my own children, I'm super duper sensitive. But in other things, I might not be. Taking means you like to take. Hardworking, duh. Intellectual means you are like a really deep thinker. Next, these ones should be ones I don't have to explain. Are you a people person? Are you a problem solver? Are you a planner? Are you a reader? What's your highest of those 4? What of those 4 words defines you the most? That gets your 4. And then what gets your 3, 2, 1? Next column is associate, originate, memorize, and think through. Associate means you're good at associating one thing with another. So maybe if I talk about something in 7 Habits, you're the kind of person who goes, oh, Miss P was talking about that in social studies the other way when we were discussing this. Like you're good at associating things together. Originate means that you start things. You are the origin of things. You're the originator. The original things come from you. Those of you who would see yourselves as artistic would be people who originate. You know what it means to memorize. You know what it means to think through something. That means like not just, reacting, but being proactive and thinking through a choice. We're getting there. Next column, spontaneous, changer, wants direction, and judger. If you're spontaneous, you're the kind of person who's like, sure, let's go do that. And you don't need to have a plan. You're fine with things changing at the last minute. You like to do things at the last minute. You think it's exciting and fun to like have something new come up. That makes you spontaneous. Changer means you like to change things, whether you like to change your hair, your fashion sense, your friends, the kinds of books you read, the kind of music you listen to, the way you dress. You're all about change. You like change. Wants direction. If you're one of those kinds of people who you want to be told step by step exactly how something should be done, or in school you want to be told exactly what you need to do to get the A or to get the B or to get the grade that you want. You're someone who wants direction. Or at home, if your parents ask you to do something, you want to make sure that they're telling you exactly how they want it done. And then judger means you judge people. you might judge people on the way they look or the way they act or the way they talk or on a choice that they've made, and you tend to be judgmental. 3 more columns, again, a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1 in each row. Not column, I'm sorry, in each row. And we've got communicating, discovering, cautious, and reasoning. If communicating is something you're really, really good at, that's your 4. Discovering means you like to discover things. Again, you're like, if your investigative score in the very top row is really high, chances are your discovering score is going to be high too, because they're very similar. Cautious means you kind of think before you act. You're cautious about jumping in and doing anything that you haven't researched. You exercise caution. You take care before you make a decision. Reasoning is kind of similar to that. You use your reasoning to do the things you do in life. I'm going to do this because this. My reason for doing this is this. That means reasoning is a really strong one for you. So again, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1 in that row. Caring, challenging, practicing, examining. Those should be easy. Are you a person for whom caring is a big deal? Challenging. Do you like to challenge others or to be challenged? Practicing. Do you do a lot of practicing? Is it something that you know you need to do a lot to maybe get good at something that you're particularly interested at developing a talent in? And then last one, of course, examining. The root there is examine. Do you like to examine things? Look at them more closely. And the last row, feeling, experimenting, doing, or thinking. I don't think I need to define any of those. What's most you? A 4, a 3, a 2, a 1. And what should happen after you have all of these things filled in is you're going to have, you might be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to have a total in each one of these 4 columns. So you're going to want to put your total at the very bottom, and then we're going to talk to you about what those totals mean and where we're going to go from there and how this has anything to do with fruit.